Something that we need to realize in our starting over journeys is that sudden loss of interest that you escaped from, that you removed yourself from, the people, places, and things that you no longer have to deal with. Comes a point in the journey where you have to realize that wasn't an accident. That was you spiritually elevating yourself to feel uncomfortable around those certain people, places, and things. You no longer have a need, want, or desire to be around certain people, places, or things. And that is your spirit telling you to remove yourself. The lack of apathy, or the apathy that you have toward certain individuals, where you basically feel like I could either take them or leave them, that is God's way of telling you this is the end of the road for this particular relationship. Another way you can tell is when you no longer feel the need to explain yourself to them. Another way God shows us is that you no longer want to or have the desire to tell them anything good about yourself or anything bad that happened to you. Those are things that where this relationship or this particular situation has ended, and that's okay. That is okay, because at the end of the day, God replaces what is dead and he brings on what is lifeful. I'm going to keep saying lifeless, not lifeless. He brings on, he prunes off the dead so that things of life can grow. And that's basically what is going on in the spirit realm when you no longer have the need or want or have the desire to be back with people that you once were with before. And in this case, of course, if I wanted to talk or speak more transparently about my life with not getting into super big details, is where you no longer, sometimes when you started over, you may hear something where somebody talks about marriage and they like, well, I've seen this marriage. I've seen countless marriages, be reconciled, or I've seen many couples that have separated that have been reconciled by the glory of the Lord. I've seen many of things like that. Okay, that's great for them. Good for them. God, you. So I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap this up. God will take the taste out of your mouth when it comes to certain individuals. People sometimes in religious settings, from religious backgrounds, sometimes you'll get to hear certain things where people will try to persuade you or push you to reconcile a marriage because, God does, Jesus hates divorce. God does hate divorce. However, God also hates abuse. And that could be confusing sometimes in your starting over journey, where you're hearing this mixed messaging, and there could be a potential conflict of interest in what someone is telling you based on rather than what you feel. And a lot of times you got to look at it as well-intended bad advice. That's what I do. I will be like, okay, I just heard that, Lord, but however, that is not applicable to me. That messaging does not apply to my situation, because the situation that you delivered me from was super toxic and abusive, and I know you no longer want me to be experiencing that. And the level of freedom that I now have is way greater than me wanting to reconcile with somebody that is still being used by certain entities that shall remain nameless. And therefore, I need to be moving on with my life, such as yourself. You need to be moving on with your life. Do not put yourself back in bondage just because you hear a certain sermon or somebody in the church talking about reconciliation and God doesn't want us to divorce and things like that. Yes, God doesn't want us to divorce, but he also don't want that person to be abusive towards you. And if God has not yet delivered that person out of the bondage that they're in, and being abusive and being manipulative and being all the things that are not the fruit of the Spirit, then you should not be going back to that, especially if you feel some type of ickiness about the person and you know that if you even are around them for 1 minute, your skin starts crawling. So those are signs, like I mentioned in the beginning of this, those trying to keep you from that person, place, or thing, is when you just have this restlessness in your soul, in your spirit, whenever you are around the person, or even when you have to like text the person. And God is trying to get me out of that too. Like when I'm trying to when I actually have to communicate with the person, I'm like, oh, here we go. I don't know what type of response I'm going to get. You know what I mean? It's just like you just kind of anticipate, you bracing yourself for whatever tomfoolery is going to come after you, the message you send. But anyway, I said, and then God also blesses us with discernment as we are on our separation or our starting over journeys by showing us, teaching us about the fruit of the Spirit. So the fruit of the Spirit is long-suffering, patience, kindness, gentleness, joy, peace, patience, all those things. If you see that this person does not have any of those things, then therefore that is not an inclination for you to be going back to bondage. If you see that the person is still being manipulative, potentially using the kids as pawns, and I'm going to be making a video about that soon too, potential parental alienation tactics that do not work, because at the end of the day, God is in control. Whatever type of tomfoolery, grifting type of spirit that is, where you would do that to children, is evil, and it will never prosper. You know, the weapon's going to form, but it's never going to prosper. But yeah, more of that to come. But yeah, God will take the taste out of our mouths about concerning certain people, places, and things. And it's a blessing. We got to look at it as a blessing, because not a lot of people are blessed with this. A lot of people leave toxic, abusive relationships to go right back to them because maybe God has not taken the taste out of their mouth. Maybe God is wanting them to learn a little bit more of the lesson that he wants them to learn. And, you know, so like I said, like once God takes the taste out of your mouth, count it all joy. It's a blessing, you know. And that's not to say that some marriages shouldn't reconcile. Some marriages probably should reconcile. Those are every situation is circumstantial. Every situation is not the same. But however, God will bless you with the discernment, the direction, and the instruction to know what is applicable to you. So when you're out in church and you're out in these religious functions, spiritual, you know, these different sermons that you may hear, if it doesn't apply to you, just leave it there. Don't get offended. Don't get mad. Don't get confused. You know what God told you to do. You know God told you to leave, and he told you not to go back. So therefore, I hope this message blesses you. I hope it is more confirmation. It's something that I particularly struggle with. So therefore, that's why I'm speaking on it. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I'm about to go to Costco and have a great day. Love you. Subscribe, share, like. Let me know down in the comments if this video resonated with you. And love you. Bye.